Hey, welcome back everyone. I've got this Volkswagen Cabriolet here. It's an 87 and I towed it all the way from Canada. I towed it, first run was 2,700 kilometers, like close to 1,700 miles. And there's a lot of controversy. I don't say controversy, but there's a lot of talk that you can't tow these vehicles. It is a 5-speed transmission. It's a manual shift. And a lot of information online saying you can't tow them, the manual actually supports that, but that's not entirely the way I saw it. So I decided, hey, it's an old vehicle. I'm willing to risk it for the rest of you to know if you can do it or not. So I'm going to spin you around. We'll look at the hitch I built for it and the hitch I'm using, and we'll talk a little bit about what I did to get it towable, which wasn't much. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I did, I took a piece of 2-inch stock, tube steel, and I had it, and I took another 2 short pieces. It's very hard to see it here, but there's a tube steel, it's a 2-inch long, but it's the opposite way welded together. And I welded them on so I could put holes in. I should have had this out of the way here for you guys. So you can see that there's a tube steel right there, and here's some backer plates that I recommend you use. These are grade 8 bolts in the backer plates. So in the original mounting brackets that they had in these things, or the mount, not toe brackets, but tie down brackets, I come right through there and bolt it together. And I also went up into the bumper because I added a plate on top of all of it. These tabs are 3/8 plate, all welded together onto the 2-inch square tube. Same on the other side, exactly the same. So I reinforced it on top, and then I put a hole up through the bottom of the bumper with another grade 8 bolt. You can come up with your own design. I just made it. I wish I could show you this a little better. I can't really see what's going on here. It's so sunny out here. Let's see, I can't see the screen. But right here is the tube steel. So I was able to get that short grade 8 bolt through there and put a nut on it. And that's clamped down tight. Now, people say you can't use those as a tow. Well, if you look at the manual, it shows in the manual, service manual, that that's how you tow them. The old tow trucks would lift up, you would put a hook through there, put a 4x4 under the bumper, and then wrap the 4x4 around and lift it up with that, the bumper and that. And there was no tow limit on that. So that's how I made the hitch. There's something else I want to talk about the hitch there that I would do different, but we'll talk about the rest of it. So there's my 7-point power plug, and there's my breakaway right there, my breakaway switch, which is important. And I use a Blue Ox braking system. And then these chains, I wrapped right up and around. See if I can get these to show you where they went. These chains come right up and around the brackets here and back down. So if it ever did pull a bumper off, which I'm very unlikely it ever will, the chains will grab that mounting bracket in there. But that's it for the hitch part on the car. So on the actual RV, I'm just using an old Blue Ox hitch here. Works well. I have my umbilical cord has diodes in it, so you can't feed power back through to the van, because if you don't, it'll when the braking come on, it'll monkey with your lights, your brake lights and all that stuff. So you don't want that happening, and just your standard hookups right there. Now, one thing I ran into on the tail lights, and mainly with this type of car, mainly the brake light and turn lights. The parking lights were easy. I just tied into the system with from the van for the parking lights. So when you turn them on, all the parking lights come on. I did that all up front, even the brake lights and the turn signals. Now, when you have these cars, what's different about these and some of the more modern cars or some of the North American cars is that those amber lights are separate of the turn lights, are amber, and they're separate of the brake lights, where like trailers, which these are set up for towing, that assembly is generally together and linked together. All right, well, I'm going to try to show this and what I did here. And I have the covers off the back of these lenses here. That's a little bit of light coming in. So what I did, this wire here, there's a diode in it. So this is only a one-way, and it goes over to the brake light one. So when the van brakes come on, power can go through to the brake light, but it can't come back when the van's not plugged into it. So when you're running the vehicle without being towed, you don't want the brake lights to power up the amber turn signal. So there's a diode that runs over to there. And then there's another diode right here. You can see it or not. And it does the same thing, except for when when you bring power over from the turn signals, you don't want power feeding back through to the car. So there's a diode there that lets power come through from the brake light when you're not towing. And then the diode stops the power coming back into the system when you are towing. So that's kind of how it went. So it's two diodes and just jumping over to the brake light from the turn signal light. So what was happening, if you don't do that, then when you put your turn signals on it, it actually lights up the other side of the side that you're not turning. So you do need those two diodes, and very simple to put in. And right there, I hope you can see all that. Yeah, and then use piggyback if you can see them. I used piggyback connectors, like spade connectors. So you just put there it is. So one wire just piggybacks the other and jumpers right over. They're like that. So actually, yeah, it's still on there. I thought maybe I lost the wire, but you'll see the original brake wire, or the original turn signal wire rather, right there. Comes through the harness and it goes into the turn signal bulb, and then I jumpered it over to illuminate the brake light. And of course right here is the piggyback as well. Same deal. So there's the diode there. It won't let power back through into the circuit. It's a little bit confusing, I know, but it works. So two Schottky diodes, they're 15 amp. They're cheap. You can buy 20 for 10 bucks or something like that. And I had them anyway because I had them for the solar panels. One burnt out in the solar panel. So that's what I did with the wiring. It's a bit of a mess there. When I get home in the summer, I'm going to straighten this all up, make it look neater, and change it. All right, well, that's how I did the wiring with the diodes. Okay, now we got all that. So when you go to tow, of course, you put it in neutral. Make sure it's in neutral, and make sure you double check it, triple check it, whatever you need to do. I usually leave the engine running in neutral, and then I'll, before I take off, I know that it's in neutral because the engine's running, I'll shut the engine off. And now on these Volkswagens, with the key in, let's see if I can show it to you, the wheel will lock like that with the key out. But if you put the key in, turn it on, turn the ignition on, like so, like that. And then when you shut the ignition back off again, without taking the key out, just turn it off, it won't lock the wheel. The wheel won't lock anymore. The only way the wheel locks after you shut the ignition off is if you remove the key again. So you don't have to remove the key, you don't have to have it on in accessories or any of that stuff. You just leave it the way it is. The power is all coming from the van to power the lights. And that's why I use the diodes and everything like that, because it's powered all through the van. So these two wires I have here, they just go directly right up to that breakaway switch that I have. And all that does is it takes power from the Blue Ox brake controller that's in on the floor that runs the brake pedal. And it just dynamites that, it just goes in full brake. Because really at that point, your vehicle is no longer hooked to your tow vehicle or to your van or your towing vehicle. And you don't want that going anywhere, so it needs to dynamite and lock that car right up. Yeah, it's going to be hard on things, but that's it. At least it won't go off into the traffic and kill somebody. So that's what these are for, and they go directly to that breakaway switch up front. It's a trailer breakaway switch. They all work the same like that. So here's the braking system. Now this is a very old one, and here's your braking rod, and this is pneumatically powered. So there's a little compressor in there. It builds up air pressure. You set it. I actually lost the test knob there. I had it, but I think I maybe threw it away inadvertently. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And then there's the two with the banana plugs to go for the breakaway. So when that makes connection, it just gives it full pressure, whatever you have it set at, to the brake pedal. And the only way you get that off is if you unplug everything and reset it. Anyway, that's my take on it. Some wiring and braking system, and away you go. Make sure your lights are working. Make sure your engine or your transmission's in neutral before you leave, and leave the key in, don't take it out. It's at nights you might want to take it out so nobody steals it, but in the daytime while you're traveling, just leave the key in, turn it off, and that won't lock, that steering. I don't know what else to say. You guys can always ask questions about it. I'll try to answer them, but I just wanted everybody to know that after I'm down in Pilot Knob, LTVA, outside of Yuma. I've probably towed, and I went over to Phoenix once with it and back. So I probably towed this this little car. Oh gosh, we're into 3,500 kilometers now, and like I said, nothing changed. Anyway, I'm rambling on about it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and like I say, don't hesitate to ask questions. All right, we'll catch you in the next one.